Can't afford you. I'm running internet television. And goddamn, I ain't paying.
You're not paying it. All right.
Stop.
All right. Well, okay, good. Well, hey, look, not everything is what it seems to be. I mean, I would say probably, at one of the events I was really impressed with, and I know you're going to say, well, NFL wives. I said, yeah, Mercedes. Okay, Mercedes Nelson, you go, okay, beautiful woman. One thing I have to admit, we always say the assumption is that the most beautiful women basically are getting where they are because of their looks. Where Mercedes Nelson is like 1 year away from her master's degree. So here you're going to have beauty.
I hope she
brains.
uses it.
You know what, Mario? She's using it already. You need to be more objective. You know what? You need to be. You're more objective when you could just add a little support.
I'm saying I, too, had to use my skill.
Right.
Yes, I went as far as I could on the strength of my penis. But since I didn't get me that far, I had to go back and study.
You know what? You're wrong. You're wrong. You're
Some
wrong.
of us, we say, well, let's study.
God, I'm going to leave that alone.
Some of y'all can get by, but other of us have to study. We can't,
Well, hey, look.
Mr. Marcus right on.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't have to study.
I'm not going to say anything. So you're taking it over there to that bad element, you guys. I'm going to try to keep it
Go on,
clean.
Marcus.
Well, the new Sportz is a little bit different today because we're not really showing you a lot of publications. We're really just framing it around the All-Star Weekend because I still was impressed. Although I didn't get out there to cover a lot of events, we were lucky enough to have one of those morning coffee moments there with, of course, crazy Jesse Lewis.
Yay! Crazy Jesse.
Jesse was there in all his grandeur and glory, if you want to call it that. So for the most part, he's always a place to be. And I had a pleasant surprise from an artist, a songwriter, actress, singer. Her name is Ty. And Ty was, she was talking to Turquoise and I, but basically you're going to see some footage coming as a result of the All-Star coverage we did. And it's rare to run into somebody who has more a breadth or a diverse voice that covets other areas. She has opened up for Kelly Clarkson, Bobby Valentino, and others. So she is a true singer, and she's classically trained. You would never know it unless she mentioned.
So we got this is the footage we got coming,
and she actually did an impromptu voice for us,
really,
a song voice for us.
See, I've been so sick I ain't edited a damn thing. I tell you, he went out and got all the video. I haven't.
Yeah, but
I ain't lying. I walked out to the studio like 2 or 3 times yesterday or the day before, just for a minute.
Right. And still fighting it off.
I haven't been out here.
I know. He hasn't been. And look,
I haven't been out here.
And we know that most of the footage coverage that we're going to get is going to be kind of a post thing because now we're beyond the All-Star Weekend. Now we get into the real basketball world. But before I go any further, and you guys will see some of that, I have to tip my hat off to a winner over the weekend that just, I think, to me was one of the top stories because it was the most difficult thing to do. The Daytona 500 with Trevor Bayne.
Oh, thank you, Vic, for bringing that up.
Man.
20 years old. He can't even get a drink in California. We could drive 200 miles an hour
That's cool.
in Florida. Ain't that a bitch?
I know. I mean, you think about what this man accomplished, and if you've never been to a race, a NASCAR race, and you have to see what they go through. I heard a quote once during they had a Sprint Cup race the day before. They always do that, have a race before the big race.
A Sprint Cup?
Yeah, well, a Sprint Cup race.
That sounds like a special jockstrap you wear when you run hurdles or something.
I knew he's going to go there.
Sprint Cup.
You see, he tries to take it to a sexual thing.
I have to. I'm old.
I know that. But it's amazing what they have to do. They deal with a spotter. And what they did, Mario, and I said this before, I said, when football and basketball starts giving you more of the real time what's happening between what they call the strategy. Well, for the first time, on the Daytona 500, they let you hear how much talking is going on in the ears of the drivers as it relates to spotters, your manager who's at the pit and everything. And also they have to stay focused on what's happening around them. And they were cross-talking to other cars, the drivers, to do hookups, because in this particular race, you have to draft with a partner or you're just blown out of it. So all this is going on at the same time while you have to drive. And somebody's draft bumping you. And if you draft bump too hard because they're moving so fast at 200 miles per hour and plus, they can just kind of not lift you off the cement, but take you out off the track easily because you're in it's like a jet stream to me. and the airflow.
Exactly. For those you don't understand about drafting, is that's basically refers to the phenomena of driving very close behind another car.
That's right.
At very high speed, so that the car in front takes the wind pressure,
but it also
takes the resistance, and you're driving in an area of least resistance,
right? With
the idea that at some moment you can use that to slingshot kind of around them.
That's right.
But it's using physics.
And true. And
real physics.
And you know what? The advantage of the car that's pushing you, the disadvantage for the car is pushing the car. The reason why, because the heat hits the second car because there's no airflow hitting his front grille towards the engine. So they have to move. If you notice, if the cars are driving, they'll pop out on the side like this, right to left, to get air to hit that front grille. And then they have to change positions because it overheats.
That's the whole thing with NASCAR. There's so much science and technology that goes into the machinery.
Right.
There's so much. This is so much science and physics. It's not just enough to do it, but like you said, Vic, right? Because of the type of engine. So they just did some things to sort of cool them down.
That's right.
To try to cool them down a little bit.
Right. And they're trying to open up so much as it relates to the speed. The speed is ridiculous. When you're talking about drafting around somebody, and they actually showed when a car is drafting, they said, now watch this particular piece of paneling that's on this car. When that draft is coming close, it's not even moving in the direction where you think the wind will be blowing it. He says, but when he moves away, you can see it's basically getting that jet flow or that airflow. He says, that's the most difficult thing. They said right now, that race yesterday had so many drivers tense because every second, all it takes is a little wiggle, a little shake off the jet stream or what you call the airflow, and then you can just get into a wreck. And with so many wrecks from it yesterday. But the big story, Trevor Bayne. I'm sorry, dude. I had to sit there and think about this cat who, if the story is that he wanted to transfer his points. He says, when you're running in this race, you get points for laps, how many times you lead, other conditions. And he says, well, I want to transfer those points into my, I don't know if it's short sprint or sprint cup points, because he can't run a full season in the NASCAR because, of course, sponsors, lack of money, other conditions. So here he is ready to say, hey, look, I'm not going to win the race. So just transfer my points over whatever I accumulate. Then the cat goes out, wins the race. Okay.
That's something else.
And you think about what this guy is doing. And he basically was 19 and one day into 20. And then they said, when you're leading the race on the last lap and you got the monsters behind you.
He's 20 years old. Probably even know the significance fully.
He doesn't even know. And the idea that he forgot where the winner's pit is. All those conditions hit him so fast. I said, you don't think the game has changed now? Here's cats that's been in the game for 30 years and have not won Daytona. He comes in on his first Daytona try and he wins it. Done. His resume is full. Do you think he's going to all of a sudden be running for the rest of the year and the rest of the races? And who's going to pick him up? And he's 20. And he's the kind of cat that says we prayed it a lot. So he doesn't have that bad bone in the.
He ain't old enough to be jaded yet. In other words, y'all young folks still believe in love and shit.
Right? Oh, don't do that.
Yeah,
you gotta believe in love.
Yeah,
this is new
I
sports.
Do. Yeah,
you gotta.
I believe in sports.
Come on, man. Come on. Give it. Come on.
I was just joking.
All right. We're gonna leave it there. But congratulations to him. I can't wait to see more of him. But I have to say this. I remember when Jeff Gordon, when he first got in, he was the new cat, brash, winning. I said, young cats, you notice this. When young cats don't finish races, if something doesn't happen, they may get they're ready to fight for their position. They're not ready to sit back and say they need to change the rules. When older cats are in the game too long, the first thing you want to complain about is, well, I like all this bumper car, racing and everything, but some people should hold back and then bide your time. I said, that sounds like an old person pacing themselves. Jeff Gordon, I'm sorry, not to knock you. I remember your earlier days. You didn't think like this.
But you did knock him.
I'm knocking for a reason. If you're not, he hasn't won in 65 races. I'm not knocking him. But when you take the clock and go back and look at your archive footage and how you were, you had no excuses for not. If you didn't win, you just didn't win. Now all of a sudden you want people to pace. You can't pace when the rules have changed, and the game has changed on the track. So if they go into what they call drafting, and that's the new game, they're going to go as hard as they can.
That's right.
You're not supposed to turn around and say, well, there should be a special condition. You look weak when you do that. Go back to where you was a few years. Go backwards to where you were before. Have that same mentality and forget all that. I hate to see somebody get that old that fast in their mentality when he was the young cat who...
Because they don't want to change.
They don't want to change. I know.
It's like those new his and her lubricants. You got to go with the change. Now it's a whole different way with the cars. You can't stick to the old ways. It's a new thing.
Okay. All right.
It's a new NASCAR. You got to leave your Confederate flag at home.
Okay.
Gun rack. You
Okay.
got to just leave all that at home. Now they got NASCAR race coming to
Right.
Las Vegas.
Yeah, I know. That's going to be
And you know, Vegas got so much room, big ass desert. Come
I
on,
know.
give me a break.
I know.
You're going to have the super NASCAR raceway out there.
And they'll be overheating on the 10th lap.
Ooh, Vic, I didn't even think about that. Oh, I'm sorry. Because, you know,
Be
Las
over-
Vegas could be
it's
so hot sometimes you walk outside and go, damn.
You know, the tires will explode.
What the hell? Where the hell am I?
They're going to do it at night. They'll have to do it at night, or they'll have the race in not the spring or summer season. They either have it later in the fall, or they'll bring it early in the season, because they cannot run midday on a Saturday or Sunday.
In Las Vegas.
And 100 degrees, the tires, it's over. It's over.
115
Done.
degrees.
Yeah, it's done. All right, Mark, here's a real question. MVP. Did Kobe deserve the MVP? Kevin Durant or LeBron James? Who do you feel? See, you don't like Kobe.
It's not Kobe.
It's not Kobe. Oh, so wait a minute. Who is? If it can't be.
I haven't been watching enough what's going on with Oklahoma. They've been doing pretty good, but I've been sort of.
What on the All-Star game? Did you see
on the game?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
You didn't see? Okay. Well, the talk has been LeBron is the second in history to get a triple-double, not win the MVP. But Kobe scored the most points, is on the winning team. So should an MVP always be awarded to a winning team? That's really what I said. Okay.
No. In fact,
Okay.
I remember Jerry West specifically being one of the few.
Yeah.
Is he the only
No,
one who in a championship game?
I think George Gervin.
Okay,
think-
two people have won MVP.
Right.
In a losing
Yes.
a championship game.
That's right.
And I think Jerry West is one of those.
That's right. So
No, I've seen it. I know it's the MVP. No, they're not mutual.
Now, a lot of people believe that an MVP is when they make the most valuable player of the team and rise to winning. They never say that because they just say most valuable player, and most valuable has to be connected to something. What is it connected to? Personal performance or team winning? And if you look at it that way, I would get more clarity on making my
It's
selection.
most valuable player. That means the person who showed the most value of all the players.
Right.
They didn't even make it a thing of the most valuable. They could just have said the most. If they wanted it that way,
Right.
they could have just said most valuable player of the winning team.
That's right. And
Obviously, they didn't want it that way, so it's the most valuable player.
right.
Okay,
And
now-
the most productive player, because to
Well,
me,
if you equal productivity usually relates to value.
right.
But the idea was who in that, especially in a limited role, like a game like this,
Right.
who in that game singularly was the most valuable person to either team.
Right. I agree. All right. A little acknowledgement since we had a dearth, I call it a dearth of losses in college basketball, just to sit back and give you recognition.
Oklahoma State.
Well, it's I would say the top several teams, or the top four teams, 1, 2, 3, and 4, lost over the last week. So they have to shuffle them up and rank who's going to be number one. Duke has risen back to number one. Kansas, number 2. I believe Ohio State, number 3. And our local San Diego State, number 4 in the nation.